And we're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal discussion about Star Trek. And today we're back to Star Trek The Next Generation, although for future audiences, this won't matter because you might be binge watching Starfleet Boy, which is quite a lot. That's an achievement. That's like watching The Crown or... What else is it like watching?
Game of Thrones.
Have you Game of Thrones? I hope it's not like Game of Thrones. I hope it's more like The Crown. Here at Starfleet Boy, we are so happy to deliver our Christmas address to you on the phone. I like how she says phone. I think it's no secret that I'm
Matt Smith isn't he?
Yeah, he plays
he plays Philip.
He plays yes, Philip. Prince Philip.
Philip
is how he's styled, Doctor.
Right. Okay. I just call him Philip. Sorry.
You may be on a first name basis with His Royal Highness, but I am not. So unfortunately, I have to.
What are they in their 80s now? They have to be.
They're quite old. I hope that's not offensive, Your Majesty.
No, they are. They're quite old. This is a strange way to start off. Well, we're going to be talking about Klingon royalty, so I guess.
It's true. And hierarchy and honor. He's 96 older than you thought.
Jeez.
And Her Majesty is 91 years old.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Hmm.
All I'm saying is if I were a royal, I would expect to live a long life because being taken care of, like,
yeah, of course, yeah,
the best of any, like, yeah.
Like what happens after she dies?
I think Prince Charles, if I'm not mistaken,
didn't he abdicate?
The right of succession.
I think he abdicated, didn't he?
Reading anything about Prince Charles abdicate? Oh my gosh, this is one of those moments where you're gonna get me here. Did Prince Charles?
Yes, I believe he did
abdicate when he married Camilla. Oh my.
Yeah, because then they're not gonna have Camilla's not gonna be queen.
Okay, which do we trust people.com or answers.yahoo.com or
no? I believe it's a real he abdicated. He after the whole thing, and so I guess it would pass on to his kids, right? So it'd be either
if he did abdicate, then yes, Prince William would become king.
Or would
would
they have to call Captain Picard to him and his brother? Segue into the episode.
We don't even have to do a summary now because that was perfect. That was like totally perfect.
Summary of the episode. I just gave it.
Who would come in and assassinate Gowron in the real life version of this? Like, who is the Worf of the royal family?
Royal family? I don't know. That's a good question.
I hope it's not Donald Trump.
If only our royals were as interesting as the Klingon.
As the Klingons are. So, Doctor, you've got us back on track, which is always a good thing for Starfleet Boy. We have a little visit today by Space Cat.
Arthur, hi.
Yep. And I've sent out some invitations, so we may have, or we may not have, some surprise guests from Starfleet Boy's crew. The crew on Starfleet Boy. Is it a crew or is it a division? It's like a division of Starfleet, right? No, I'm just kidding.
It's a fleet.
Section.
We're a fleet. We have our own ships. We each have our own ships.
We're section 37. It's a little known 37. Yeah, it's like
we're the crazies.
It's even deeper than section 31. Like section 31 can't even prove our existence. That's how deep we are.
We have a singular wit,
I
Doctor.
do indeed. Well, you started it. Anyway, so everything about this episode did not go the way that I thought it would.
Ba-dum-bum.
No,
Well spoken, Luke Skywalker.
So basically, do we want to just give our ratings right now? Because it's one of those episodes, I think, right? Where you can just
Well,
dive
this
into
is not going to
yeah.
go the way
That
that you
I
think.
think.
Um,
Oh no,
I love the episode, but I have there's one gripe I hold against this episode, and I've held it since. Oh,
Sorry, I didn't turn my things on silent.
okay.
Go on.
I've had it since actually the original airing of the episode, and then I've discovered a new grudge that I bear against the episode, and I'll go into the new one, which is that they should not have killed Kalar.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
That to me is I mean, I obviously it fuels the drama and it fuels one of the best scenes for Worf. I mean, when he goes over and I love that scene where Riker rushes in, he's like Worf, and he's just like. Whoop.
But there's just no when it's one of those things that I have to say that like it's very hard to give that one. It would have been hard to resist as a writer for me because it's like so.
Well, they could have done it, but they could have waited.
Yeah.
I mean, how many episodes did we have with her?
It's been a couple of seasons, right? Because we saw her in we saw
this
her
one, and the one she was introduced. We could have had like a a little honeymoon period where we could have had just I don't know. It was shocking that we would lose such a vibrant character so soon into the run, a character that had plenty of potential, a character who really could have gone into Deep Space Nine even.
That's true.
I mean, she was.
But how else? Okay, then how else could you have envisioned what would have driven Worf to the point and made it legal? Klingon society.
Well, no, obviously, right? Yeah,
to kill. Like that's the thing is like Worf would not have been. The whole episode would have been different if Kalar had lived. So she died. So that's God made the decision.
Right, but I mean,
the god of death made the decision that day to kill Kalar. So Worf's reaction was appropriate to what happened.
It was, and I love the episode.
It was totally appropriate.
There would have been more with Kalar.
Now Susie Plaxton doesn't she come back in Star Trek again?
She's I know she's on Enterprise. She's an Andorian. She plays a great Andorian on Enterprise, and
let's take a look at her.
She's on Deep
Gary's
Space
Nine.
Gary's
a huge fan of Susie Plaxton. He could just tell me.
Yeah, he's the data.
He is the data. Gary, you're the data.
He's the data, but it just seemed like that actress was. They were bending over backwards to get her on the show. They finally get her on the show, and they kill her. I'm confused. I don't understand.
She's like on a ton of Star Trek. So she plays Tara on Enterprise, as you said. And then she was on Star Trek Voyager as the female Q.
That's right. That's right.
And let's see, she was on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
She had a lot of sass.
This was her only role on TNG, so I don't think she was on DS9.
Oh, okay. My mistake.
Yeah. And that's not really a ton of Star Trek.
She's very memorable.
Yeah, she's pretty great.
And of course, she's the ever-present Dr. Salar, who's never seen but always around.
Wait, she plays Dr. Salar? You see her once.
You see her once, but you always hear like Crusher's like paging Dr.
Salar. Speaking of which, I don't know if you watched the last two episodes of Chapter 1 of Star Trek Discovery, but there's an announcement.
Is that the fan film?
there's an announcement on the overhead that says Cadet Deckard report to the ready room. Okay, so your non-response to that shows me that you're
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. This is 10 years before the original series. But Decker's an old man, and he has his own command by
No, Cadet Deckard, as in the second, like Matthew
the
Deckard.
pedophile Decker.
Fortunately, yes, the played by he was convicted,
Does that
correct?
work? Does
Oh
that
my,
work in terms of
the
age?
actor is not the character. Oh my God.
No, I know, but that's the way I think of him
Is that
now.
why Lando? Is that why we're never gonna get Lando? Is this like just switching to another fandom for a second here? Will Billy D. Williams never be allowed to be in a Star Wars film? Is that a
Why?
thing?
Oh no, I don't know about this.
I don't know. Oh, okay, I don't know. I heard that Billy D. Williams was not so nice with his wife or something. I don't know.
You're
It was on the
spreading
news or
now. You're
something.
spreading.
I might be spreading rumors.
Yeah,
Mr. D. Williams, if that's not real, I
that's not real.
apologize.
I don't
But
think that's real. No, come on. He's cool, man.
I know
But I
so
don't
far.
know these days.
Sure.
I mean,
It's true.
but
But this is old news, like years ago news. So I don't know. I'm just saying I felt like I remember when I was like like 15 years ago, there was
I,
something on the news. You might have missed it.
I think that was a Colt 45 commercial. I don't think that was a real.
Yeah.
But
All right, we'll get back to Star Trek then.
yeah, let's stay on Star Trek.
Okay. Good grief, Doctor.
Um,
Good grief.
what were we talking about? I don't remember anymore.
We're talking about an amazing episode of
Yeah.
Star Trek, but I'm also very happy to see you. It's been a minute, and so I'm a little overexcited, which I tend to, and so I'm all over
All
the
right.
place. But I assure you
Calm
that
down.
there's a,
Calm
I
down.
do, I do. It's an exciting time of year. This is when all the things are happening: Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and Festivus and
Do Klingons have a year end
it's
ceremony?
the English translation is "death upon the log." Death log is the short version of the Klingon holiday celebration.
Stab each other with paint sticks all Christmas morning. No, but I do wish that we'd have more of Kalar. I don't understand why they would have wasted such a great opportunity to have a character of number one, a brilliant foil for Worf in terms of, Worf is very much, he's trying to be a proper Klingon, and she just doesn't give a crap.
Right.
And
No, she's great. She was great in terms of how she performed also, like opposite Michael
yeah,
Dorn. And
yeah. And then didn't you get the sense, now I don't know what her official, I don't know what her official rank is. I know that she's the ambassador, she's the Federation ambassador to the Klingons in this episode, is she not?
she is, or it might be the other way around. She's a Klingon serving as an ambassador to the Federation.
Oh, it's not the other way around?
The impression I get in the scene where Gowron is offering her a seat on the council. Well, we can look this up probably. It's probably well documented, but from my memory of the episode, Gowron is proposing, offering her anything from a command on a ship to position, and he seems to think that she seems to say something along the lines of, "I am serving the Klingon." She's like, "You could serve."
Okay, so she's
you could serve.
Okay, gotcha.
So the way I understood is that she sees herself, or she is the Klingon ambassador to the Federation.
Now, do you get the sense that maybe she's more than that? Maybe.
Well, all ambassadors are more than that.
No, but I mean, like just the way she was able to access the records, the way she's trying to access the records as to what happened and all that stuff, and I just felt that she had a bit of espionage background to her. You know, I felt that maybe Secret Agent Kalar could
Oh
have
my gosh.
been a show. You know, I just imagine, I picture her as maybe in charge of the Klingon version of Section 31.
That's a,
Um,
that's a fun that's a really fun idea. I think that that could still be done, and but then I'm endorsing prequels, but still it
which
could
we haven't
still
had good
be.
luck of lately. But
Yeah. But I'm down. I'm down to see a show. At least it'll be set in the appropriately close to current era. Like-
that was my one gripe is that I think it's a shame to have wasted her. And then the gripe that I've always had since the moment it aired, and this everybody in my family shares this, is we hate the scene where Picard reprimands Worf. I learned,
Really?
yes, I think Picard was way out of line there. Yes.
What?
What else was Worf supposed to
No.
do? Kirk would not have reprimanded Worf. Kirk would have been like, it would have been like that scene in The Trouble with Tribbles where, you know, he's like, okay, fess up. What did you guys do? Who did it? And then it would have just been, you know, swept under the rug. But a
But
reprimand on his record? Oh my God.
that's Picard though. Like that's not inconsistent with his character, and it's only season 4.
It is consistent with his character, and I disagree with it. No, I think it is very consistent with his character, but I disagree with it. Is what I'm saying. I think,
No, I'm
I
saying
think
what I
you
was saying
know
is it wouldn't have been consistent with his character if he had just let it go. Like it is consistent that he would give Worf a reprimand.
doesn't sit well with me. I don't think
Picard
Kirk would have
has
given him a pass.
a but Picard has a rare career in that I would argue that he's even in some ways the major difference between he and Kirk is that Picard rose to the esteem of the Federation in terms of being the flagship captain through a totally different route than Kirk did. I mean, Kirk Kirk just like wings
Broke
it
the
and
rules.
totally
Yeah,
broke the rules and saves Earth. And then how do you
right.
repay someone? How do you repay the person that saves the Earth? Like, there's no, like you just don't tell
Three
that person
times
what
at
to do.
least. Yeah,
Like, you don't tell that guy what to do. You just
right. Exactly.
let him do his thing, right? Like
Exactly.
it's like
Exactly.
the card's a little different, you know. Like he hasn't saved. He's just fresh out of saving the Earth one time from the board. That's it. Like that's the only thing he's done of note. And yet he also failed a little because he turned into a Borg doing it.
Right. Uh huh.
Like you have to think
Oh
about that. Like, do you think Kirk would have delivered? Like, would have been easy to convert
no,
to
no.
assimilate? Like,
It would have been
there would have been
something.
something.
Right. It would have bit the
Something.
apple. I don't like to lose.
I don't like to lose, and he wouldn't, wouldn't happen. But poor Picard, unfortunately, he does. He suffers. He's different, man. He's a hard ass. He's a little bit different from Kirk, and I love them both so much.
I don't love Picard, and this is one of the moments that I'm like, I would not want to be on his ship. No, no,
No, it's
no.
I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough decision. I mean, like,
I mean, what else was Worf supposed to do? The guy killed the mother of his child.
Okay, so if the rumors of a
Throwing his
Quentin
entire
Tarantino,
family into
I couldn't help but think that if the rumors of a Quentin Tarantino version of Star Trek were true, I'm sure that in actuality, Quentin Tarantino would. He is an auteur, and I really love his films, and I'm sure he would do a wonderful job with Star Trek. But as childish nature is prone to do, I can't help but think, what if it was made like a Quentin Tarantino movie of typical how a typical one goes, right? And this would have been a lot bloodier.
yeah,
And there would have been a lot of cursing.
yeah.
Worf would have slapped. And Worf would have slapped Captain Picard after he reprimanded it. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But I am willing to find out because Sir Patrick possibly is interested. So
To quote the great Luke Skywalker,
this is not this is not going to go the way you think.
if Quentin Tarantino makes a Star Trek movie, I'm just
Oh
saying,
gosh.
I do not
I
join the throngs of people who are dying for that. I'm sorry. I mean, if I'm having trouble with Discovery, guys, you really want Quentin
Why can't
Tarantino
we
to make a
get
Star Trek movie?
why
No,
doesn't Star
folks.
Trek get
Sorry.
like Kenneth Branagh to direct a Star Trek movie? Actually, TNG's final movie could be directed by Sir Kenneth Branagh. Is he a sir? I think he's definitely a sir.
You know, I'd be a, I don't know. You know what? You need somebody who just understands Trek.
Who is
And
that? Who's that
I don't know
person?
if Kenneth Branagh understands Trek. I mean, I was disappointed with Murder on the Orient Express.
Do you, we have to? I have a. This is a big question because, like, do you really have to understand Trek, or do you have to like?
No, I think you have to understand Trek.
Because I don't know the credentials, but did Bob Wise? And it's beautiful. I mean, the motion picture is beautiful, but Bob Wise, like, how
That
much Trek did?
well, that's a good point. That's a good point. Nick Meyer. Well, no, hold on. No, wait. Bob Wise. Well, let's take Nicholas Meyer. Nicholas Meyer had an understanding. Let's just say this. He had an interpretation of Trek that was very nautical based, and he understood it. The Horatio Hornblower
References
roots, that
the root,
yeah,
yeah.
and all that stuff. So I think you do need somebody who kind of. I mean, obviously he didn't know the minutia, but he kind of got the general. He got that general gist of it, and
So
then he
who the director of Master and Commander? Who's that?
Peter Ware.
Peter Weir do a Star Trek
Yes,
movie?
I think Peter Ware could direct Star Trek. Yes, absolutely.
All
I think he
right.
already has. I think it's called Master and Commander. I think it's a secret Star Trek movie. Yeah,
that's the vibe basically, and I agree with you.
yeah,
I
yeah,
agree with
yeah.
you.
Or, boy, we're going way off topic here, man.
Well, I mean, no, actually, it's all pretty relevant. It's all pretty relevant. We're gonna come right back to
Right back to Next
Star Trek.
Generation.
Well, the problem is that we already love this episode, and the only two critiques you could come up with
Are those two? Yeah, no, everything else is
were
perfect.
those two.
It's
Like
true.
everything else is perfect. So, audience, what do you think of this episode? Is it a love? Is it like one of those pantheon episodes? Because that's what I'm saying. It's a to me, it's like up. It's like
It's a
in the pantheon.
milestone episode.
It is. It's a big deal.
It's a milestone episode. I mean, if you think about the fact that, well, we're introduced to Gowron.
Gowron's first appearance. So, what do you, knowing Gowron as we all do? I mean, we really do.
Love that
That's a
guy.
character we. Yeah.
I mean, this is he's. I mean, those eyes, those boogly eyes that he has. I'm like, wow. I think it's a turning point in terms of, we get Gowron, we lose Kalar. We get, what's his name? Alexander is introduced, obviously,
Yeah.
to the canon.
There's another interesting thing in this episode, just in terms of establishing like itself and kind of in terms of that milestone you were talking about. But there's a casual line about how Kim Peck is the longest running Chancellor of the Klingons. So that means that sometime after Gorkin, how long Azitber, if she was a provisional chancellor, or if it got, because she succeeded her father. I don't know how chancellorship works. Like, do you get elected to being chancellor, or how does it work on the Klingon homeworld? But either way, a position that you can have for many, many years. Kind of like, I guess a prime minister is similar, right? You can.
Well, yeah, you can have. That's actually something that I just recently watched a program, public affairs program on PBS, about how the United States is really the only major Western power that doesn't have a greater division in terms of at at the executive branch, we have the president, and then that's it. The buck stops there. But then, you have in England, you have the prime minister, and then you have
the Minister of Defense.
and there's a little more. It's spread out a little bit more.
I think we have
Thing.
departments. The State
The
Department. I don't know. I
Germany
think
has
it
a
all
prime minister, doesn't it?
Yes, Germany does
And
have
they
a prime
have the
minister.
chancellor. Merkel is chancellor, but then
Oh.
there's somebody who handles the foreign stuff,
Chancellor.
and then there's somebody who handles the domestic stuff more. And this person was making the case that perhaps we expect too much of the president. We should actually have two
I think that's
positions.
I think that's wrong. I think Germany's prime minister is the chancellor. It's just a name thing.
No, I think they actually have two positions.
Are you sure? Well, you would
Check
know.
it.
You were in
Well, that's what this guy was saying.
You were on the Security Council.
That was many, many years ago. But you know what I mean. There's more division.
I don't know why I'm confused. But yes, I do know what you mean. But also, they can run for like more than just 2 consecutive terms.
Yeah. Yeah. They can.
So that's what Klingon. You're saying Klingon.
Well, I'm very confused about the Klingons because actually, let's talk a little bit about Star Trek 6, wherein another captain of the Enterprise comes to the aid of a dying. So, did Star Trek 6 steal from Next Generation a little here? Because this episode came out before Part 6, didn't it?
Oh, that's a really good question. No, I don't.
This episode came before 6. But as you said, in the case of Gorkin, his daughter seemed to be. I mean, there was a line in Star Trek 6 where, what's his name? Christopher Plummer.
Kang, General Kang.
No, okay, where he says that she has been instated as chancellor. So some process happened. It wasn't just upon his death. Something happened. And she is chancellor. So now it was very fast. I'll say that. It was like within the day, at the very least. But yet, here in Next Generation, we seem to have in this episode, and obviously Picard is prolonging it because he's asking for the rights where you have to basically they have to explain why they're worthy, and they have to sing songs of their previous accomplishments and stuff, which is great.
I would say that but what do you think Star Trek 6 took from this episode other than because there was no assassination? I don't know.
I'm not saying there's echoes.
There are definitely echoes. Yeah,
it's the captain of the Enterprise once again coming to the aid of a murdered, essentially a murdered Klingon chancellor.
William, you're right, but as far as continuity goes, William Shatner gets to claim it because
he's Shatner and he's Kirk, and
he's the older guy.
Right.
He's the guy.
That's
continuity always wins.
Continuity always wins. That's true. Continuity always wins.
Continuity always
Listen
wins.
to that, Discovery. Continuity always wins.
That could go against you. But yes, it's true. Discovery needs to pay attention. That we're really all over the place on this episode. But I think the thing about this episode and why it's for me a milestone episode is because I really didn't care about the Klingons until about this. Just on a personal level, like I was just always like, oh no, it's like another Klingon story.
Oh, but you didn't think that with the last one, though.
I didn't, but I mean, at the same time, like I remember being very fatigued by the Klingons because I was so in my youth, I was so like interested in fighting and battle, and I was very like pacifist, like I was a militant pacifist, if you will. And so I was just like, oh, let's do a science episode. Like, can't we just see another?
Okay.
Like, can't we see another episode that has like
giant jellyfish?
Giant jellyfish, or yeah, I was that for sure. I was that guy. But but Kalar's death affected me. Like it really brought me into the whole thing, and so I think that we have to. I guess we have to ask Ron D. Moore and Brandon Braga because they wrote this. By the way, I recently made a mistake and gave Brandon Braga credit for Battlestar Galactica on Starfleet Boy.
That was Ron Moore.
So it was Ron D. Moore. And I wrote it in the comment section, but I went back and I was watching it. I was like, yeah, Brandon Braga, Battlestar Galactica, and I'm like, no, I know better. Like it's like I just wasn't paying attention to myself.
That's funny. Oh my god, that's funny.
Yeah. So, anyways, if by any chance this ever gets to you guys and you feel like answering, really like to know what the motivation was behind.
Oh, it's
the
online.
death. Oh, never mind, Brandon and Ron. We don't need you anymore.
No, it's online.
Well, for crying in the night? What's the reason?
For crying in the night? What's the reason? Well, if you go to Memory Alpha, which is kind of the home for every the go-to for all such questions. There's a quote. This is from Michael Piller, actually. This is by the way, this is the first episode written by Brandon Braga, and the first writing collaboration between Braga and Ron Moore.
Oh, neat.
And Michael Piller commented, "I killed Kalar. The original idea was about Worf's kid and bringing Kalar back, who was having a relationship with Duras."
Oh shit!
Oh shit! Wow.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's really dark.
Yeah. But
oh man,
when we started talking about how to make the story work, I'm the one who said she should die. You wanted to get to a place where Worf was going to take Duras apart, and there's no real good reason for him to do it unless she dies. He had it coming. By the way, Jonathan Frakes directed this episode.
He did? I didn't pay attention.
Jonathan Frakes directed this episode, and which is, I think, also adds to the fact that this is such a great episode. I don't know anyone from Miami Beach.
Oh yeah, you're totally right. His IMDb headshot is wonderful, by the way.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I think it added to the pacing of the episode, and just I love the shots in Worf's quarters when he's coming to when he's coming to comfort Alexander, and you see that weird chair. And I don't know if we ever actually see Worf sitting in that chair, but it's just that weird sculpture-like chair.
I love that chair.
It looks like something that the lady from Beetlejuice designed.
I think it is
later come to life, and
they're both Paramount properties, so I wouldn't be surprised.
They're not.
No, are you sure?
Beetlejuice is Warner Brothers.
Beetlejuice isn't. Shut your mouth. Why do I remember the Paramount logo?
No, you remembered wrong. Remember, it's Geffen Brothers. So Warner Brothers, Geffen Brothers, The Circle. Yeah.
The Circle.
Yeah.
Of life. I have such a doctor. I'm getting old. I'm becoming very old. My memory is not what it once was.
You could be trapped in a Romulan holodeck, and they're trying to obtain the location of Starbase 23. That's called foreshadowing.
Because what's that?
That's called foreshadowing.
Thank goodness for Minuet. Did you know, Jonathan? Are you gonna watch? That's, by the way, that Minuet is a totem. So are you gonna say that that what's his face Nolan stole?
Yes, Nolan stole
Star Trek Next Generation. Because I would say fine. Okay, I agree with that.
Inception was a Riker episode. Next Generation.
Anyways, but right.
Christopher Nolan could direct Star Trek.
He could. I
There we
agree.
go.
I'm gonna make a personal request on the air for you. Boy request, and I know you're not. I already know you're not obligated to say yes, just because I'm making it on the air. I know you'll still say no if the answer is no. So I just wanted to like just go ahead. I just thought of it now, and so I wanted to point out. You mentioned that Jonathan Frakes directed this episode, which is one of the reasons why I think it stands out so much. He's directing the January 7th Star Trek Discovery. So he is directing, that's his episode. It's called Despite Yourself. So I would ask you, I know you've disengaged from Star Trek Discovery, but if you can muster it and just watch that episode so that we could talk about it. And at the very least, we could see how Frakes did. We could see how Jonathan Frakes did. We just talk about it from a structural standpoint, just from a direction.
Yeah, I guess I could.
All right.
I guess I'm intrigued enough.
That makes me very happy. I think that, you know, for me, that's like
okay.
Is due.
I grant your crew 2 minutes.
Starfleet Boy, I grant you one more episode of Star Trek.
One more episode. Star Trek Discovery.
Discovery.
So now I consult the book.
Yes.
What season are we in?
Season 4, episode 7.
Holy cow. Where is this episode? The Drumhead. Oh, wow. When is that happening? That's happening this season.
Yeah, it's this season. And I forget there's another, the one where Geordi turns into that invisible life form that that's the season 2. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Data going on a date. Doesn't he go on a date this doesn't Data have his romance this season 2?
You're not selling it, man. You're not.
It's a good season. It's a good season. This reminds me so much of old times.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the book.
What does the book say?
Oh, this is his second. This is Jonathan Frakes' second directorial outing.
Yes.
And then it says here, Ronald D. Moore defended the decision to kill off Worf's popular mate, who in an earlier draft had a relationship with Duras. We wanted to get to a place where Worf was going to take. Oh, I already read that. So, yeah. So there, that Starfleet Alpha is Memory Alpha is quoting this book.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, this episode is not exactly a vacation for Picard either. It's a tribute to both actors and to the writers that it would always have been thought inconceivable is completely believable here, a human from the Federation choosing the next leader of the Klingon Empire. For summer intern Brandon Braga sitting down with Ron Moore to hash out the teleplay as his first The Next Generation writing credit was an illuminating, exhilarating experience. Braga, who arrived with a strong production background from Kent State and the University of California of Santa Cruz. He had produced music videos, but got his first writing job as a member of the Next Generation staff.
We had to look that up. Brandon. Music videos. Let's see here. Pull anything up.
This establishes that the Klingons and the Romulans have been blood enemies for 70 years, even though Worf once said that the two sides were still allies at the time of the infamous Kittimer massacre. And to this point, budget constraints had forced the staff to use 2 Klingon vessels from the films, but the Next Generation finally got its own Klingon ship. The Vor
The Vorta, it's
battle attack battle cruiser debuted.
is it Vorta?
Vorcha.
Oh, Vorcha, sorry.
It is roughly 3/4 the length of a Galaxy-class starship. The 3-foot model was designed by Rick Sternbach and built by Greg Jen.
What did you think of that update when you saw it for the first time? Was there like a
I loved it.
Loved it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. The Vorcha.
I think yeah, just about all the Klingon ships, all the Klingon updates that we saw on Next Generation were very much in keeping with the aesthetic of Klingons, and it looked great. I mean,
and the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think they all look great. I don't understand why. Oh, excuse me. I don't understand why the frickin' Discovery couldn't get their Klingon ships right, but
I'm holding on to my theory about Star Trek.
That's all a nightmare.
That well, literally, like, yeah, like that we're in Wonderland here, Alice in Wonderland. Riker, Jonathan Frakes. I almost confused the man for the character, which is easy to do. Jonathan Frakes' first episode was The Offspring with Lal, Data's daughter. Then it's this one,
right?
And then you were looking forward to Drumhead, which is actually him as well. He gets the credit on that. Then his next one is Cause and Effect, The Quality of Life, The Chase, Attached, and Sub Rosa.
Oh,
yeah. So those are all his Next Generation episodes. He does on Deep Space Nine. He does The Search Part 2, Meridian, Past Tense Part 2. I wonder why he didn't do the Part 1s of those. That'd be an interesting thing to look into.
Question.
The Voyager 2.
How do you feel about the introduction of Worf's son in this episode, and then being, I mean, they introduce him, they set him up, introduce him, and then it's like, okay, kid, you're off with the grandparents, and we don't see you again for.
I thought that made sense from the perspective of Worf as a character, like as a Klingon, and growing up. You know, we've said this before, where we think that Worf is even more Klingon than a Klingon because he grew up away from his people. He kind of like pursued being Klingon to the nth degree. Like he never wants to be accused of not being Klingon enough. You know what I mean? So it made sense. I don't think Worf would keep a child, would see it as being sensible to raise a child, you know, especially with his duty in security. Like I don't think he would have, but as a fan, I think it would have been interesting to have Alexander stay on the ship with Worf. I think it would have also created this other element, like that would have changed the focus of TNG. And I have a feeling that like a lot of it would have been more like what Cisco and Jake have, like in terms of that dynamic. So it would have been interesting to see, this, but like, does that mean like, I can understand why like maybe the writers chose as they did, because at that time, would it be too close to the Wesley growing up on a ship? Is it just like, you know, like how on different strokes, when the kids got old enough, they brought Sam in, like, you know what I mean? Like was Alexander, would he have been seen as a Sam on Star Trek? Now that Wesley's gone, do we need another kid on the Enterprise to fill the?
I just want to give a shout out to the great Dixie Carter. She was the original. Then she was replaced by I don't know who the other woman was, but the great Dixie Carter on Different Strokes.
Dixie Carter is an amazing actress. Did she ever appear on Star Trek? I wonder.
No, she's got too much sass to appear on Star Trek. too much Southern sass. She would have been like, "God."
She's awesome.
Um, but
Oh, sadly, she died in 2010,
she
Doctor.
did.
You just
She
led me
did.
to another.
She did.
I didn't know
Yeah.
she was gone.
The late
Dixie Carter.
Dixie
Wow.
Carter. Um, I don't know. I think, sorry, that different strokes analogy was dynamite on your part. I don't know. I think that's another criticism I would lodge at the and again, I sound like I don't like the episode. Actually, I love the episode. But I think that the introduction of Alexander, it's he's almost like a prop. There's not much dimension given to the character. With child actors, you don't want to criticize. I don't want to be that guy. But I think the character just didn't really. I didn't really. I didn't really feel much for the character at all. And then you sort of introduce him, and then he's gone. And we don't see him again till a couple of seasons down the line, I believe. And I think, the whole premise that the Galaxy class starship is there for families to be together, so you don't have to split them apart. And we see that, like you pointed out, with Wesley and Beverly Crusher. And here's Worf sending him away. And why, really? Except, I don't know. I think it makes Worf appear to be a bit of a dick, to be honest.
But he is. But I mean, like he
You
is. I think at this point in his character progression, I don't know if we can call it an arc because I don't know if the writers wrote that way intentionally, but I definitely see like at this point in his character progression, like I mean, like I think it's a big deal that he even hugged Alexander at the end, like you know what I mean? Like I don't
but
think
he had
that
so much. He pledged himself to that kid whose mother died on his away team, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna forever be your whatever, your big brother, and whenever you need me." They had that little Klingon ceremony, and yet his own kid, he just kind of like, okay, go off with the
well, how do you
grandparents.
know he
He's
wasn't
never
gonna
even met
send
these grandparents.
how do you know really good point, by the way. That's an excellent point. But how do you know he wasn't gonna send that kid off to his parents as well? Like at some point, you know what I mean? Like how do you know that Worf's intention was to even raise that kid? Like
He's just gonna pass him. He just passes on kids to his
it's just
grandparents.
like I do not have time for this. Like it is
Well,
your
then
job
Worf's
as the parents of a Klingon to take care of a Klingon's illegitimate child. Like I mean, he has beliefs like this, they're very like structured and like
Worf's an asshole.
indoctrinated. Yeah, he is
That's what I think.
he's totally
No wonder him and Picard get along so well. I mean, they don't
where's
like
this
kids.
kinder, gentler doctor coming from? Have you regenerated into the fifth doctor or no? I don't even think that's good. I think he regenerated into the 11th doctor. Like he seems to like where in your time stream am I? Like where what does the fourth doctor say about this? Like does he agree with Worf or does he agree with you? Under.
I mean, I'm just pointing these things out, man.
The fourth doctor would have kept a kid around, right? Is that like
no, the fourth doctor would have.
That's what I'm saying. It's a different. You have to take it into context. It's a different time and work. It's a different time. Next generation film era Worf. Xander. I think so. I just don't think.
I
think at this point in his life, Worf can handle. And that's what it boils down to. It's not like what you're. I hear what you're saying, and I like totally like. I know I'm joking around and everything like that, but I think at this point in this character's life, we don't really know him to be someone who is easily expresses their feelings. Like later on, he's like with Deanna, and it's a whole different Worf. You know what I mean? Like, but at this point, and doesn't Alexander eventually come aboard the ship? Like, isn't he too much for the
I think the
Rozhenkos to handle? Do
Rozhenkos
we
sent
see?
him back because they are echoing what I'm saying, which is that a boy needs to be with his father.
That's
I mean,
true.
I don't understand.
What happened? Do you remember? Because I
I
don't
don't understand. I
remember.
really don't. That's what Starfleet Boy is all about.
I know
Is
we have to figure
the
it
trek
out.
of memory.
Let's see. All right, so Alexander Rozhenko, the character.
I know eventually he on Deep Space Nine he's an adult, and
That's
I
what
do
it
want to set
is.
aside some time, please, for the highly
This is
accelerated Klingon life cycle. I just want to say
it's true.
because
There,
Kalar and Worf
there's
screwed each other 1 year ago, and all of a sudden Alexander is 5. I'm like, how big are they when they come out of the? I mean, it's just crazy. I don't understand.
the mysteries of Klingon. How much time has passed? Are you serious? This
Well,
can't be
when did
true.
Kalar? When did she first appear on Next Generation?
Let's look it up. It was, I think, my feeling is 2 seasons ago,
Okay,
but I
this
could
kid's
be
not
wrong.
2 years old. Okay, he's
Wait,
not.
but is every season a year? Is that established? Hold on.
I thought it
Kayla,
was.
it could be. All right, Kaylar. Susie, I'm back on IMDb. We're trying to figure this out here. Kaylar's first appearance is in the
It's not season
episode
1.
89, 90, 91. So between it is season 2.
Okay, so season 2, and then this is season 4.
Yeah, let's find out.
So I mean, she has to carry the kid to term. That's 6. I mean, I imagine it's 6 months equivalent, right? And then the kid's born, and now he's. I mean, he looks like he's 5 or he's more than 5 or 6 in this.
You're assuming that there's only a year. TNG is a year of time on the show, though. I never got that. Did you?
I did.
I
Wait
guess
a
you're
minute.
right.
Yeah. They make
Is it like
references like, yeah, Crusher was away at medical for a year,
that's
at
true?
Starfleet
You're
Medical
right.
for a year. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
right. They do.
Yeah. So
All right.
what
See,
is
let's
this
see
so
season
the
2.
Klingon, I don't know. That kid looks pretty
Oh, enough
advanced for
about.
2 years old.
Damn it, Jim! I just don't know his anatomy. like I can't. I I'm just gonna hit him in the chest and hope it works. I am wearing the blue shirt today, so I think that was appropriate.
Oh God, you're so right.
It's true. I don't know.
How did he know that was gonna work?
He was gonna.
He could have killed him for all we know.
That's true. Ah.
The trial, I guess, was not a sham after all.
I mean, he did kind of kill Chancellor Gork.
he did.
Like,
From a different point of view, McCoy kind of did kill Chancellor Gork.
he tried to save him, but he actually may have ended up killing
He
him.
inadvertently killed him. Tell me, Doctor, do your hands shake? Oh God!
Don't wait for the translation. Answer me
I
now.
love that.
Like so good. Well, it is like the 25th anniversary of Star Trek 6, so it's appropriate that we went there. And it all ties in because Colonel Worf, is it Colonel Worf or what's his rank? Worf's grandfather.
Right. That's right. Okay.
Establishing the as
Right.
a deep family in Star Trek lore, which is kind of cool too.
Yeah.
I don't know like why I'm so defensive of this issue of Alexander, but it looks like he's never on the show again.
No, he is.
I
He
looked
does
him
come
up.
back.
Oh,
I mean,
is.
he comes
Are you
back.
sure?
He
Okay.
comes back in that stupid Western episode where Troy
Oh, you're totally right.
and that's a terrible episode. And then suddenly he's played by, I mean, speaking of kids Suddenly he's played by the kid from Family Ties. The, the little one they added at the end.
Ricky, not Ricky. What Family Ties? Not sorry.
Michael Keaton.
Not Michael Keaton. Why am I saying that? Michael Keaton. We're thinking of Stephen and Elise Keaton. Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox. What was his? Yeah. Remember they had a little
Wait, are you
brother.
serious? They changed actors for Alex.
Yes.
I have to now look in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. Suddenly it turned into that kid.
I feel. I think my memories are from the Richard Marquand universe doctor. I'm having a lot of trouble here. All right, let's see. Reunion actor here.
He never played Alexander again.
I feel like this. Well, maybe the makeup does kind of obscure most of your face because I'm like thinking Alexander looks the same. It's like,
No, he doesn't. When you see
whoa.
it's the kid from Family Ties, you recognize him right away. You're like, oh my God, it's the kid from Family Ties.
Oh wow. Actors who play Alexander Rozhenko. I can't find where he comes back. What's that called? A fistful of datas?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, let's see. And that's not till
Season 6.
season 6. Excuse me 1 second. Yes?
My TV's not working.
I'm sorry.
Go for it.
Which TV?
Number big one.
Okay, I'll get to it in a minute.
You want to give a rating?
we're gonna have to end Starfleet Boy soon because there's technical problems on Starbase 47.
All right. Let's go for a rating then.
I'm gonna give this. Oh, you go first, Doctor.
Oh, okay. I was gonna give this a 7.
Really, I was gonna give it a much higher rating, which is 8.5. Why is that funny?
If you had gone first, I wonder what the rating. You just want to top mine.
You should always let me go.
You know it's
first.
a 7. You just want to top mine.
You should always let me go first. Brian Bonsall, you're totally correct. Oh my god. That's the name of the actor.
Yeah, from Family Ties. Yeah.
Does he then play Alexander throughout?
No.
Or do they change actors again?
No, because apparently that kid never grew up. So they went to an adult actor. Yeah.
The sorted. No, well, here we go. We have him in quite a few episodes here as Alexander Rozhenko.
But he's not the adult.
He's in. That's on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Well, that would prove. I know I have to go, but there's still a little bit of time. That would prove that Klingons grow faster if they're aging the character so quickly. It might actually be a proof toward that theory that perhaps Klingons grow faster, grow old or mature faster than humans do.
I guess because
that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, seriously, man.
All right, I don't know how this episode of Starfleet Boy got from start to finish with so much distraction. Not on your part, Doctor. It's all been me, but I guess I'm getting used to the new Starbase here. But I'm glad for all the laughs. Everyone, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know in the comments below. And we'll try to do more stuff like this, or we may not. You never know what you're going to get.
We never know.
You never know on Starfleet.
You never know.
And on that note, Doctor, I thank you so much for joining me today. Live long and prosper, and we'll see you next time.